inspired by character. Sam is
My speech.
an ambitious man. He strives to see the best in others and seek forgiveness from those whom he has judged. Life is beautiful, and you never know who you will need help from. This is Sam's second speech.
It is.
Sam Knickerbocker.
Thank you. I think it's 5 to 7 minutes long.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I'm planning on 5 to 7 minutes long, so if it's not that, then. When I was younger, much younger, I lived in Grantsville, Utah, and I'm the 7th out of 11 children, which means my parents were absentee because they assumed that my older siblings were actually watching and taking care of me. When that wasn't the case, then occasionally my mom, who is a saint and always sees the best in people. I have never seen a time when my mom does not see the absolute best in somebody. And Julie can attest to that because she knows my mom. Okay? Now, because of that, she tended to have people babysit us that we didn't really like much because we saw a lot of their flaws. Many of their flaws. There was this particular woman who we found to be not very nice. If you've all seen Matilda, it was my image of this woman was kind of like Matilda. She was always angry. She was a hoarder. And so you couldn't go into her house. She had 2 young daughters that were our friends, but you were not allowed into their house. And she, for some reason, had this idea that if she drank enough caffeine, then her headaches would go away. So she would regularly drink a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper every day. It was a staple that was her daily drinking regimen to get rid of her headaches or her migraines. I don't know how well that works when you're considering that it is caffeine that's probably giving her the headaches. However, occasionally my mom would have this woman come and babysit us. One time we were being babysat, and at our house, as you can imagine, 11 kids, the food was there, and if you could find it, you pretty much could eat it in our house. Well, this woman came to babysit, and that was not the case. Or she didn't let that be the case. My older brother, he had went and got an apple out of the kitchen. He was eating it, and she's like, did I say you could eat that? And he's like, no, it's my house, I can eat an apple. And she flew off the handle. It was not okay. And that was like my first real memory of this woman that's still in my mind. I'm never going to get that out of my mind, I don't think. It's very traumatizing, as I was probably 3 or 4 years old at the time. My older brother was about 7 or 8. And so I have this traumatic image in my mind of this woman, and I try and steer clear of her every time. Even when we were over playing at their house, I would just avoid her at all cost. Well, right beside her house, they lived in a little, not quite a trailer park, but very low income housing, you could say. And right beside the house was a massive wood pile of random pieces of wood with nails in it and a bunch of different things. And me, being a young kid, not knowing much about life, was climbing, well, we were all climbing over, it wasn't just me, climbing all over this wood pile that was full of nails, but we didn't have shoes, or we probably had shoes, but we never knew where they were, didn't wear them. So barefoot, climbing all over this thing, thinking, nobody's going to get hurt, it's okay, we'll step away from the nails, until you forget and you're having too much fun. Nail went right through my foot, just all the way through the top of my foot. I'm now screaming, just literally in a bloody mess. My foot is attached to this board, and this woman who's hysterical without anything going on, she's even more hysterical is what I'm assuming. Well, she's actually an EMT, so in certain areas she can be rather calm, I found out. And because of that, she decided to, well, she probably had to, I guess, but she took me out of the wood pile, carried me down the street, it was probably a quarter of a mile down to my house, with her bag of bandage materials that she carries with her in her house. She laid me on the table and she doctored up my foot on my own kitchen table. And it's just crazy how much you can judge somebody and really not like them, but then as a result, or end result is they might be the exact person who is there with the needed expertise to actually help you. And so because of that experience and many others in my life, I've made it a large goal in my life not to judge. That sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't work. And then when it doesn't work, then I have a personal commitment to myself that if I ever prejudge or find out that I'm wrong about somebody, then I seek out to ask their forgiveness, whether that's they knew I judged them or not. For me, I feel that that's important to say, you know what, I prejudged you. I think that you're a lot better human than I thought. And maybe they don't like that, because then they find out, they had no idea they were judged, but then they find out that they were judged. And sometimes it backfires on me. But for my integrity, right, for myself, it's important for other people to know where they stand with me and where I stand with them. That's important for me. And so fast forward years forward, I'm back out in Grantsville, and we're having this play in what we call the old church. And she's sitting there taking these tickets. Okay, she's since had really bad problems with her leg. I don't even know if she has one of her legs anymore, from diabetes and a bunch of other medical issues. But her teeth are all gone, just rotted away, I assume from her Dr. Pepper, which she still drinks religiously. And so I walked through the line, and I recognized her right away, and she's like, "That's Sam Knickerbocker. I remember fixing your foot on your table." It was obviously a traumatic or a memorable experience in her life as well. And then I was able to say, "Hey, you know what? This is kind of what I thought of you back then. I'm so 18, well, not 18, probably 16 years later, right? I'm so grateful that you fixed my foot." And then she started crying. It's something that you don't realize how much of an impact that you could have on somebody's life by letting them know how much you really appreciate them and what you actually feel about that person, especially given maybe not the greatest history in the previous portion of life. So I would encourage all of you guys that when you do prejudge, if you do, which I think it's a natural thing to do, just remember that they could be the person who you absolutely need help from and the person who could help you from when you need it the most. And then also, I would encourage you to seek forgiveness whenever you feel that you need to, rather than only when they know you've wronged them. Seek forgiveness all the time, and it leads for a much more peaceful life for me. And so, thank you.